And just on this general note of interface with the secular society, I know we have to be careful. I accept that. This is crossing a bog in the dark, as it were. But there is a case presently before the courts. Is there anything at all you can say?
Well, I can speak in very general terms about the case, some sort of sub judice. Some of it is obviously, I can't talk about witness statements or anything like that. But taking the case, because we believe that the ban on public worship is unconstitutional. I think it's very clearly unconstitutional. The Irish Constitution is almost unique in the world in the way that it spells out the specific right in Article 44 to participate in public worship, and that the state cannot interfere with that except for in the case of to preserve public order. And the bar that you have to clear to justify banning public worship in the interest of public order is an awful lot higher and requires evidence rather than a hunch.
The threat would have to be fairly immediate.
Immediate, obvious, and provable.
Yeah.
And, you know, the measures that the bishops took to introduce COVID mitigation, sanitization, mask wearing, you know, one-way pedestrian traffic, all of the things that they did, you know, frankly, the evidence is that stuff works very, very successfully. Yeah. I was reading a report about 1 million Catholic masses that were looked at in the aftermath of the bans being relaxed in the US, with the number of instances of COVID spread traced to them at being zero. Yeah. Even though there were asymptomatic people at those masses, but because they were wearing masks and socially distanced and everything else, those things, there wasn't spread. So I think the case in Scotland is very helpful to us. It's a common law country. It was found that the ban there was overreach, was excessive and disproportionate. I think that there's a good chance that we end up with a similar outcome here. And the trend around the world, whether it's, you know, Germany, France, Switzerland, Scotland, most recently, the Supreme Court case in the US, is leaning in that direction, that religious freedom and the right to participate in public worship is where they're taking sensible measures to guard against spread. And, you know, I mean, there are risks attendant. We shouldn't pretend that there aren't. So you do have a responsibility and duty to mitigate against those risks, but you do not have to shut down public worship. You can reduce numbers, you can do all of those things. That in general is the thrust of our argument, pointing to the protections in the Irish Constitution as well as things in the ECHR and whatnot. And I think that we have a very strong case and it should prevail. How long it will take, you know, the Irish courts are not very well resourced. They're very challenged with, you know, the lockdowns and everything else. So how long it takes remains to be seen. But I think it's outrageous that the government is keeping public worship banned in the way that they are, in my opinion, in absolute open defiance of the rights enshrined in the Irish Constitution.